While taking part two of the precursors of the Romantic Revival, today I begin with James Macpherson, born in 1738 and lived up to 1796. Macpherson began by writing worthless verse in the conventional fashion, but in 1760 he issued a work called Fragments of Ancient Poetry, translated from the Gaelic. Emboldened by the success of this venture, he produced further versions of pseudo Celtic poems, Fingal in 1762 and Temora in 1763. Macpherson declared that his books were his translations of the poems of an ancient Celtic bard called Ossian. The violent dispute which broke out does not concern us. The tales deal largely with the romantic adventures of a mythical hero called Fingal. They are cast in rhythmic and melodious prose and contain descriptions of wild nature. Macpherson's forgeries thus clearly mark a reaction against the correctness of the school of Pope. Thomas Gray, born in 1716, lived up to 1771. Gray had been to Eton and Cambridge and was a most scholarly poet. The most striking thing about him is that he began his poetical career as a classicist and ended by becoming a thorough-going romanticist. In 1748, he began to write on the alliance of education and government and showed his discipleship of Pope by versifying what was fit matter for a prose pamphlet. The highly polished odes on the spring, on a distant prospect of Eton College, and to adversity also belong to the first period. The Gray's political career doesn't reveal any romantic influence. They contain conventional moralizing, numerous personifications, and much false poetic diction. In the second period was published Elegy Written in the Country Churchyard, 1751, a smooth and graceful poem containing familiar sentiments expressed in admirable, quotable phrases. It is not a romantic poem, but it belongs to the churchyard school of poetry, to which also belong Young's Night Thoughts and Blair's Grave, the sentiment or sentimentality of which was connected with the Romantic movement. The third period produced the Pindaric Odes, the progress of poesy, and the bard, in which Gray is seen to be well on his way towards Romanticism, although there is in them, as Johnson rightly said, a kind of cumbrous splendor that we wish away. Gray's last poem, like the Fetter Sisters and the Descent of Odin, are fundamentally romantic, with their preoccupation with legend and superstition and the romantic past. Gray's life is thus seen to be a history of the romantic movement in epitome. William Collins was born in 1721 and left for Heavenly Abode in 1759. The work of Collins is very small in bulk. His Persian eclogues, written in 1722, are written in the conventional style of Pope, and the Oriental setting shows no special inspiration. Collins' fame rests on his odes, and for them, in his own time, he got little praise. It is as a lyric poet, as a singer, that he stands out from among his contemporaries and claims to be remembered. In the little book of odes, which dropped a stillborn immortal from the press, says Swinburne, there was hardly a single false note, and there were not many less than sweet or strong. There was, above all things, a purity of music, a clarity of style, to which I know of no parallel in English verse, from the death of Marvel to the birth of William Blake. The longest and the most ambitious of the poems, Ode to Liberty, contains fine passages. The Ode to Passions and the Ode to Evening are reckoned among his finest compositions. The latter is a short, unrhymed poem of uniform poetic excellence in a softened strain. The ode on the superstitions of the highlands is a long and noble ode which seems to foreshadow the supernatural and superstitious elements in college poetry. In the same book of odes, there are two short elegies, one beginning How Sleep the Brave, and the other on James Thompson's beginning In Yonder Grave a Dryad Lies, which are as captivating as the best of Keats. As a lyric poet, stands alone in his age, head and shoulders above his contemporaries. As a lyric poet, says Swinburne, he, Gray, is simply unworthy to sit at the feet of Collins. In the finest work of Collins, we are ushered over the threshold of romance. Thank you.